Welcome to In the Box Seat. I'm Ray Fewings, and today on In the Box Seat we'll be talking to Richard Stasiak, the trainer of a very, very promising greyhound in General Anders. He's also got over rate a Litter Sister, which is showing plenty of ability as well. We'll talk about the week coming up. The Breeders' Plate Prelude is one of the key features. Perth Cup, of course, and we'll have all the industry news, and we've got some red hot tips for you as well. What's on in South Australia this week? Well, I mentioned the Breeders' Plate Prelude on Wednesday. Look to be some really good things in the Breeders' Plate, and I'll tell you more about that a little later on. But a couple of good standout dogs, and I think we can pick you a winner or two, particularly Panic, which I think at this stage is one of the key chances to maybe winning the whole event. Tips for Angle Park on the 2nd of February on the Wednesday. Race 6, number 7, Emily Cruiser. Now, a lot depends on whether Atlanta McLaren runs in this heat. He's off box 1, but he was running on Tuesday, so there's some doubt about Atlanta McLaren. But Emily Cruiser may be able to take him anyway. He's a very experienced greyhound and should make his way to the front from box 7. In race 7, as I mentioned, Panic. He's a very big, strong dog, Panic. He was a good thing beaten here last Thursday night. He's up against limited opposition. And I think Terry Carlin's got a dog here that can probably get down to around 29.6, 29.7, given the right run. Now, the Honeys have got some hot tips for us as well. For Thursday, the 3rd of February at Angle Park, the Honeys have gone for race 6, number 1, Shelley Louise. Now, this greyhound, 2 starts ago, won at Angle Park in 29.94, leading all the way. It's drawn the red, and the Honeys reckon it'll make the pace and be very hard to run down. The girls have got a pick 4 for us in race 6. They've gone for Shelley Louise to win from 2, 8 and 7. And they also think that another box 1, race 7, Kahale Coffee, pretty handy dog from the Jovanovic stable. That kennel is going really, really well at the moment. All the dogs are firing, and they think that it's probably a good thing as well. Race 7, I should say, the pick 4, 1, 2, 4, 7 is the Honey selection there as well. Now, coming up on Sunday, we've got the Gawler Twilight TAB meeting. It's going to be a lot cooler than it was last Monday night at Gawler, so that's something to watch. Racing nationally, the consolation of the Perth Cup is on over there. The Sky Racing Perth Cup consolation is on February the 5th. Ipswich, the Vince Curry Memorial Maiden kicks off on the 5th. It goes for nearly a month, the final being run there on the 2nd. And of course, Tasman Park in Launceston, the Launceston Cup for Country Club Tasmania kicks off on February the 7th and ends up on the 14th. Now, I've got a few dogs to back for this week. For Wednesday, race 4, number 8, Dancing J-Lo. Race 5, number 8, Goosebumps. Looks like it's got a vice-lice grip on its heat of the Breeders' Prelude. Race 6, number 7, Emily Cruiser. And race 7, number 1, Panic. And I've got a couple of good things for Thursday night. Race 3, number 1, Adjust. Race 8, number 2, Calden Mayhem. And race 11, number 5, King's Mark. So they're the ones to watch. Upcoming events, Breeders' Prelude, the heats are on the 2nd, the final on the 10th, on the Thursday night at Angle Park, and I'll have more for you very shortly. Our special trainer on In the Boxes for this week is Richard Stasiak, who's been in the game for as long as I can remember, and has probably got a couple of very handy dogs at the moment, as good as he's had for a while. General Anders in particular, a dog with untapped ability, and looks as though there's even a group race on the end of it if everything goes well. Welcome to In the Boxes, Richard.
Thanks, Ray. How are you?
I'm very well. He's a good dog, General Anders. Everyone acknowledges that he can really run. Just a bit of a hang-up with the boxes at the moment, but when he gets over that, the ability is there.
Yeah, well, he's probably had the box issues for the last 4 or 5 starts. Prior to that, he was reasonable out of the boxes, and he'd often pick up early pace, and within 200 metres he'd be up with the first 2 or 3. The last 3 or 4 runs he's been a little bit tardy, and hence he's been at the back of the field. I've found some issues with him, and I'm hoping that's the reason why the box work has been a little bit tardy.
I looked at his record. You took him to Horsham. He must have been flying as a puppy. Took him to Horsham and he won straight away, and he beat Where's Cisco by 10 lengths.
11,
oh, all right, okay. You must have come home saying, what in the hell have I got here?
Well, I knew that all along. He was, and the straight at Horsham, you've got about 110 metres to the first turn. It gives him time to open up and really let fly, and probably the second section that he has is probably the key to to his running, and that was an enormous run. It was the fastest. In actual fact, the last section was the fastest at Horsham for 12 months when he ran that, and that was a maiden.
Yeah. He's well bred too. He's by Black Enforcer, but he's out of Din's Portrait. Now, I remember Din's son only 6 or 8 months ago running in group races, so he's a half brother.
Absolutely right. Yeah. He's actually the second litter. Din's son, there were something like 5 in the first litter, and they were all sort of group class dogs. However, there were injuries and problems and whatever reason you have with dogs, and unfortunately, I think Din's son was probably the only one that really made it to that level.
You bought this dog and overrate the sister,
yep,
because they go back to a champion dog of the 70s in Delby and Babe.
Absolutely. Delby and Babe was an absolute flyer. I could have had her.
Yeah?
I was a friend of, Paul Hogan was a friend of mine, and I can remember one time going to we're always out for dogs from South Australia. We always wanted something a little bit better. And I can remember going to his place at Tynong, and he said, all these pups are for sale, there's one out there. And Delby and Babe had a tail that was half the length of normal. And he said, that little bitch out there seems to run normally. And I sort of looked at her and thought, I won't get a dog with half a tail, I'll get something else. And
about 40 wins later, and then about 150,000 later.
That's right. And that's exactly, and she's thrown on and on and on, and the whole portrait line goes back to Delby and Babe. And
I remember Paul Hogan. I reckon he had all the Fairbairn dogs, Fairbairn Jet, and all those, the Rocket Jet line, and it's mostly black dogs, and they've been good.
Absolutely.
Now, Overrate, what can you tell us about her?
Well, Overrate, heaps of sort of ability, I suppose, but she's had some problems, had some serious injuries. Hurt her back muscle, hurt the Achilles tendon. She's had some coupling, real serious injuries that would normally sort of take 8 or 10 links off a dog, and that's basically what's happened. When they broke in, there were 5 or 6 links between them, so she would have been pretty handy too. Look, she's a real trier. Course is wide, hits the outside fence. Yeah. If it wasn't there, she'd go wider.
I was in the back straight last week, and she went very close to the outside fence, I can tell you.
That's right, but she always tries, and she runs a strong 580, 570 metres, so she's always a chance, always running a place. Basically, she pays for the kibble.
I think she might be a good one to keep the line going. Richard, good luck with the General. I hope you can win a big race with him pretty soon, and if you can get him 100% fit, the ability won't be the problem.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Richard Stasiak there, joining us, the trainer of General Anders, who's out for a few weeks, but he'll be back, and you can follow him with great confidence. Well, the tip, we better leave you with a tip from the In the Boxes, and we're going to go for Caledon Mayhem. He went over to Perth last week, and he was beaten only 2.5 lengths in running 5th in a heat of the Perth Cup. He got knocked over 2 or 3 times. He comes back to Angle Park for race 8, number 2 on Thursday night. He's a safe bet. Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to Richard Stasiak on In the Boxes. I have. You can visit grsa.com.au for all of your greyhound information anytime you like, and you can also catch the latest edition of In the Box Seat then. I'll catch you again next week.